All right, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to be doing right now is we're going to be doing 20 ISOs number 11, making this little block here. And what we're going to be focusing on is using your trim tool, using tangential constraints, and using concentric constraints in order to make sure that all the circles are lining up and we're making the shapes that we actually want to make. So take a moment, get your dimensions from your sketches and all that happy stuff, and then go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and get started as is. File, new, standard IPT. Sounds good to me. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start out by making this base feature first. Okay. I've already got my dimensions written down, but I'm going to start this out with just a basic large rectangle, and then I'm going to cut out for the circles, and I'm going to make that circle in the center, or those circular ends in the slot in the center. So let's go ahead and play with that. I'm going to start a sketch, and just in my mind, it works better for it to be on this plane. So we got a top-down view of that, the way that it rests. I'm going to go ahead and start out with my rectangle. Click my rectangle tool, click with the little green dot on the origin, and then I'm going to type this out to be, what is that, 11 by 4. Hit enter. All right, cool. So now, wow, see all those little grid lines? I hate those grid lines. So how you do that or how you change that, we're going to come into the Tools tab, go into Document Settings, and in the Sketch tab, change that. So I'm just going to say 0.5 inches because that to me makes sense. Click Close. Now it makes much more sense, even though it's only showing up as 1. Regardless, what we're going to do is we're going to now I want to make a midline across here, but I want that to be a construction midline. So I'm going to click my line tool, and I'm going to wait until I get this nice green dot here, and that's going to make a midpoint constraint on this side piece. And so then I'm just going to drag this on out here, okay? I don't want to click on that one because then if something happens to that line, it's going to be a problem. So I'm just going to click out like that, okay? Now I'm going to hit escape to drop that tool. I'm going to turn my construction line off as I come up and get my circle tool. And I'm going to bring my circle tool. It keeps trying to find constraints. I want to make sure that I don't drop my center of my circle on a place where it's making a constraint already. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to drag it out, and I'm going to type 2 inches for my diameter of that because that's what it should be. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing. Only I'm not going to be careful about where or how large it is. So see how this one has a dimension? That means it's dimensioned. See how this one doesn't? That means that it's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an equal constraint. And we're going to say that I want this circle to match that one. And so it brings that one down to match that size. Now I want to go ahead and I'm going to make another circle. I'm just going to drag it over here. Okay. And I'm not even going to give it a size. That's what's going to be the outside of it. I'm going to use this concentric constraint in order to say that circle should be concentric with that circle. Ta-da. Now, it's not the right size. It's too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say that that needs to be tangent. This circle needs to be tangent to that line. Okay. So, cool. Now what I need to do is I'm going to make sure that this is placed in the appropriate spot. So I'm going to grab my dimension tool, and I know that this center of this circle should be 2 inches from that line. Voila. It brought the whole thing over to where I want it. Now, still using my dimension tool, the center of this circle to the center of this circle, that should be a whopping 3 inches. Okay. Now, this looks nothing like how it should be. No. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start using my trim tool to start cleaning this thing up a bit. I don't want that part of the circle. I don't want that part of the circle. But I do want this to make our outer edge. I don't want that part of the outer rectangle. I don't want that part. I don't want that. Ooh, you see how it just started messing with our geometry? I'm going to hit Control Z in order to put it back to where it was. I'm not going to delete that. Try the trim tool. Click that one. Ooh, it just messed with it again. So we're going to leave those lines alone, and they won't affect our sketch and our extrusion in the end anyways. So now I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm just going to click on that circle and then drag it on out to that one. And you see how it made those tangent constraints there? We want it to make those tangent constraints. If it doesn't automatically make your tangent constraints, which this will probably want to over constrain the document. No, it did. That's how you do it. You click the line, you click the circle that you want it to be tangent to with that tangent tool selected, and that'll make your tangent. Now we're going to trim again. Grab the trim tool, and I want to cut that part of the circle out, and that part of the circle out, and that part of the circle out, and that part of the circle out. So what I have is the slot, that's that circular slot that's through there, as well as that outer curve made. Okay, so that's all made in my sketch view. Now I'm just going to extrude that the height that it's supposed to go, which according to my counting, that's supposed to be 2 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 2, enter, back it way out. Yep, that's what it's supposed to look like. Cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start making this side feature here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to create the inner circle, the geometry of that, place it in the right spot, and then do the outer circle geometry. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to make my 2D sketch, and I want it to be on that surface. Okay, now I need to make sure that I'm including the geometry of this edge as well as that edge. Okay, so I'm going to grab my circle tool, and I'm just going to drop a circle, and I'm going to make sure that that circle's the right size. I know that it should be a 2-inch diameter, so I'm going to type that in there. Cool. Now I'm going to grab my dimension tool, and I'm going to place it in the right spot. So from here to the center of that should be 4 inches. Yeah. And then from this edge to the center should be 2 inches. All right. Now that circle is placed. What I want to do now is I want to make another circle. Just dragging it on out here. I know that I want that circle to be a 4-inch diameter circle. Okay. Now, actually, I don't want to do the geometry or the dimension on that. Okay. I'm going to first make it concentric. Boom, boom. Okay. Then I want to go ahead and I want to make a tangent constraint for that circle and that geometry. Okay. So now what that means is that this line, if we were to continue an imaginary line upwards, it would touch that circle and be a tangent line. And that's how we want that to be. So I'm going to go ahead and click here and then click down on our surface, hit escape. And so that makes that kind of edge. Now I'm going to grab my line tool again, click here on that corner, and just come straight down. You see how it's making those constraints, and it's a 90-degree angle, it's 2 inches, and it hovers over and it snaps on that little grid. Click it. All right. And I've got a coincidence constraint made there, coincidence constraint made there. This is exactly how I want it. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my trim tool again, and I'm going to cut out that part of the circle and that part of the circle. Now I'm going to finish my sketch, and it looks like that. So I will grab my extrude tool, and I'm going to do an extrusion, only I want it to go that way. And I also want it to go to, and it's going to say, hey, what's your face you want us to select it to? And I'm going to go ahead and rotate this thing around and select this face. There we go. Thought I clicked that. So now that's exactly what I wanted it to look like. So I'm going to click OK, and boom, the part is completed. So go ahead and save your part. Make sure you put your name or your initials at the end of the part, and have a great day. Let me know if you have any questions.